Please tell us about yourself.
My name is Chifon Christian. I'm a graduate from the Higher Teachers Training College, Bambili, of the University of Bamenda, Cameroon. I have a diploma, high school diploma in teaching chemistry, and I've been teaching chemistry for the past 6 years in combined middle and high school.
What are your interests and hobbies?
I have a lot of interest in working with kids, working with students, doing interactive activities with them, both curricular and co-curricular and extracurricular at times. I have a lot of programs, sport programs that I direct them, especially in football teams. I have even a club that I direct my students. We do competitions. I have a lot of pleasure when I'm working in that aspect.
Are you involved in sports or any other activities that you could coach or supervise?
Yeah, as Ella said, I have special interest in sport and coaching. In my days in the Higher Teachers Training College, I was a coach of my class. We took part in departmental competitions. We won the Student Union Cup. We won the Head of Department Cup. When I went to the Faculty of Science, I was also a coach. Because of the interest, we also won the Dean's Cup and the Student Union Cup. When I was posted, I came into the field. I immediately created a sport club where I encourage children to practice football. I direct them, I give them ideas, and we have been succeeding so well. We take part in the internal class competitions and so on.
Why did you decide to become a teacher for the subject for which you are applying?
I decided to be a teacher in chemistry because in my days in grade 6, 7, and 8, I realized that most of my classmates had a lot of issues, a lot of problems in the sciences. And since I was a smart student and I have been studying and understanding it so easily, I tend to be studying and adding more effort so that I can study and explain to my classmates. I started doing that and we progressed. When I arrived at high school, I did chemistry. After the high school, I realized that I'm so good in explaining the concepts of chemistry to my classmates. I decided to further up in the Higher Teachers Training College, where I was trained for chemistry, specifically for the fact that I need to come back and encourage the younger generation, use my preconceived concepts to encourage them in the study of science.
Are you currently employed as a teacher?
Yes, I am.
How many hours per day do you teach and how many days per week?
I teach 8 hours per day and 5 days per week.
Describe your teaching experience. What subject have you taught and at what grade level?
I've been teaching chemistry for the past 6 years. I've been teaching from grade 6 to 12. I've been teaching in organic and physical chemistry in the middle and the high school. I've also been teaching inorganic and industrial chemistry in the high school. I have also been teaching mathematics in the high school.
Describe other work experience you have had besides teaching.
Other work experiences I've had is volunteering, because I have a special passion for volunteering. During my holidays, during my free hours, I join NGOs who goes for volunteering. I follow them into the hinterland, especially during this period of a crisis in my country. We go down into the hinterland. We meet people at their needs, people who are vulnerable. We give them food, we give them drugs. It has really been a passion on me. And I have been opportunity to have some crash programs on the first aid, and I have been helping my family with that and helping my neighbors, even my students, even my kids. When they have some first aid issues in schools, I intervene and help them before any further measures.
Have you ever worked in the United States? If so, when, where, and why?
No.
What do you hope to be doing professionally 5 years from now?
I will still be teaching.
If I were to talk to several of your colleagues, how would they describe your personality?
My colleagues will say I am a very dedicated, career-oriented, easy-to-go person. They know I am that person that can always put in extra effort, extra energy, extra hours to make sure that it benefits my kids, to help my kids achieve their goals. They also know that I'm a very good team player. I interact so well with them in both school activities and other activities that we have meshed together to work. So my colleagues know that I'm always a force to reckon with when it comes to school matters.
What will your students say about you?
My student will always say that so fortunate to have me as your chemistry teacher. Oh, I've had incidents where some even go into the university and come to me and tell me how much I have helped them to choose chemistry in the university. They say always take time. They always commend that take time to explain the concept, simplify them in the best way in which they can understand, and it has really been helping them. I have also built bridges between my students and their parents. I interact with them when I realize that there is a problem that needs the parents. I get to the parents, I talk to the parents, I come back, and then it has really been working for me and the students, and it has been helping them in the studying of my subject.
How do you prepare to teach your lessons?
To teach my lesson, the first thing I do is I write the objectives of the lesson in a very simple terms. I write them, I take them to class. When I get to class, I write them on the board. I call a student. The student read the objective so loudly. And when the student read it loudly, everybody gets to know what we expect to understand at the end of the lesson. And thereafter, I relate the lesson with a live scenario. That live scenario can be in the form of a video, a talk, maybe a video, an audio, voice, and this alone helps the student to initiate classroom discussion, and it helps to create discussion among groups and also to rekindle weak students. I bring them into groups, especially when I have experiment to portray. I put them into groups, and after that I give them the tasks. When they're carrying the tasks, I move around, I supervise the tasks, I make sure that they're actually doing exactly what I have mentioned in the objectives. At the end, I evaluate them on what we have done, and then later on, I give them some assignments, take-home assignment for subsequent classes.
What will your lesson plans include?
My lesson plans always include the well-defined objectives, practical activities, interactive activities, assessments. I must make sure that after everything I assess them, if they have actually the interaction and the practical activities, have they actually gotten what I've done, I assess them, and later on I give them a little quiz from the lesson to see if I've met up with my objective, and then I give an assignment as usual.
Think of a class you have taught recently. Talk about 2 of the teaching strategies or methods used.
The class I recently taught was a 9th grade class. That 9th grade class was a class, my objective of the class was to help my students prepare a standard solution of 0.2 molar sodium chloride. In the course of that class, I have already came early, arranged them into sets, groups of 5. And I made sure that all the equipment required for the preparation of standard solution were there. And this equipment where I make sure that each group has a chemical balance, each group has a volumetric flask, each group has a beaker, a stirrer, funnel, and a film cup. So when they came in, I described them, I told them exactly what to do. I defined the objective of the lesson, and I called the students. And I told them that from your preconceived and the last concept of a mole concept, you have to use your mole concept knowledge to use 0.2 molar to calculate the mass that you need to weigh of sodium chloride, 0.2 molar and 250 cm cube. They used that and they succeeded in having the right mass, 0.29 grams. And that I asked them to dissolve. They dissolve it in the beaker and transfer it into the volumetric flask, and then add the seawater up to the mark. I told them that they have succeeded in preparing the 0.2 molar standard solution of sodium chloride. And I told them that a standard solution is a solution whose concentration is accurately known. And they were so happy to do that. And then after I gave them another standard solution that was 0.1 molar sodium carbonate. They succeeded also to prepare that one. And we realized that we have achieved our lesson objective, and then I gave them 0.4 molar sodium hydroxide. that they should go home, write the procedures, and then in the next class we'll just complete it.
What method do you use to grade or evaluate your students' progress?
To evaluate my student progress, I use the methods of daily assessment. After each lesson, I assess the level at which they have gone. I make sure I give them a lot of exercises. I give them pull-up quizzes, weekly quizzes. This helps them to work. Even at home, I also use Cosmos. I follow them up through Cosmos. When they're working, I see exactly how far they are going. I can even use the students' work and display it for them to know that I'm actually following up what they are doing in the house, to make them more serious in it.
If you use technology in your teaching, describe how you use it. Specifically discuss your experience using a smart board and ways that you could incorporate it into your lessons.
Yeah, I use technology so well. As I earlier mentioned of Cosmos, it's an online program that students are working. You are actually following them up. Whatever they are doing, you are seeing in their individual computers. You are following them up in it. I also use the smart board so well. I use it for my individual presentation, PowerPoint presentation. My students also use it to do their classroom presentation, especially when we don't have enough computers.
If you have students who are noisy or non-attentive, share with us 2 ways you got them back to be quiet.
I use the proximity approach, proximity principle. I go close to them. At times, I get to know their names. I always struggle to know all the names of my students and their sitting position, so that when there is noise, I call your name and then you take your stand. At times also, I make sure that I realize a student who is so noisy, I always give assigned task. I can make the student an announcer and make sure I give the student tasks to perform in class daily, and that keeps noise away from class.
Describe the most difficult problem you have had to deal with as a teacher, and how did you solve this problem?
The most difficult problem I've had to deal with as a teacher is just the fact that I always have issues in meeting up with my lesson scheme of work program. This problem always comes up when I do repetition, because when I teach a lesson and realize that the students have not actually gotten the concept of the lesson, I have to take time again and repeat it. So it's all affecting our time that we need to complete the program. But I've solved the problem because I always make sure I create extra time to do repetition. So it has not been a problem to me.
Give one example to show that you are a flexible person and that you can make changes to your teaching method.
To show that I'm flexible, when work is shared in the department, and any other lapses comes up and they call me, I don't hesitate to go and do it. Yeah, I always do changes in my teaching method, especially when I use a particular method to present a particular lesson. If I realize that the method was not the best for the student, I come back and use another method, and then to present a lesson. I can use 2 or 3 methods to see the one that is the best for the lesson.
Is there anything you would like to add about your qualification that we may not be aware?
No.
Have you spoken to your family about going to the United States to teach? Is there anyone such as a family member that might object to your leaving home? Are you aware that your family members may not join you here until approximately 4 to 6 weeks after arrival?
Yeah, I told my family about it, and there was no objection. They were so happy that I should go out and experience new field, build up my profession, so that I can come back and share. My family is aware that I have to travel without them, and they know that as I'm traveling, they can always have the opportunity to travel after some time.
Do you understand and accept that physics is a 5-year program, and after 5 years you may return to your home country? Do you agree to this?
Yes, I'm aware physics is a 5-year program. I'm willing to come back to my country happily to share what I've learned with physics for the past 5 years.